Images and videos are the centerpiece of making an app more interesting, and we want to look today at how we can integrate different kind of images, rounded images, square images, and how we can load them from the network or also from our phone. And we will also look at how we can pick images from our library. Let's get started by calling here in our build method the image widget, and on the image widget you have different constructors. And we want to start with the network constructor so you can load some images from the internet. And then we create here a new field where we put the link of our image inside. So for example, you are here on a website, then you simply copy your image address and then you simply paste it here inside of the string. After it, we can make use of this URL image and put it here inside and load our image. And you see that he will simply display it here in our app. And you can also pass here the height and width of this image inside. And now he is displaying it by 200 pixels. And you can also put your higher values inside. And now you see, okay, we have supplied here 400 in height and 400 in width. However, here the size is not 400 by 400 because what is here displayed is the ratio of this image, and this is a portrait image, and therefore it is simply displaying here 400 in height and a little bit less in width. However, if you want to have your image in 400 pixels height and 400 pixels in width, then you need to set here this fit property, and here we set, for example, box fit cover. And this will then make sure that everything is displayed here within our 400 by 400 pixels. Then our image looks already like this. It looks already better, but it is not 400 by 400 pixels. And how I can show you is by simply going here to 200 to 200, and you see, okay, what is he doing? He basically stretches the whole width, and this means that this image always tries to get the whole width if we put here a cover inside. And how we can prevent this is by wrapping this inside of a center widget. And now he will take the 200 pixels by 200 pixels. And also if we put here 400 by 400 inside, then he will take here the 400 by 400 pixels, or also 300 by 300. Sometimes you also want to create rounded images, and that's what we want to look next at. So here in our build method, we simply create a second image where I paste a new image URL inside, and we also want to create right now our rounded image, and therefore you have the circle avatar widget, and here inside you set a background image, and this time it takes here an image provider as an attribute. And this here is not of type image provider, it's a widget, and therefore we take here the other case, the network image. So basically we put this word here in front, and then we have here our image provider. And this works exactly the same as this image here. So here inside we can then put our URL image inside. Now we have here already this circle avatar, however it's really small, so you also can set here a radius to make it bigger, and you can even make it more bigger. And then it looks like this. If we use the circle avatar, we cannot control how this image looked like, because right now most of the image is cut, we don't see the whole face. And what you can do is also using here another alternative. So instead we use here again the circle avatar with a radius. However, this time we don't use here this background image property. Instead we use the child property, and inside of the child property we need to place widgets. So this time we go here with the image network instead. And we also place here a clip oval inside to make our image later rounded. And we also put here then our image network inside like we did it here on the top, and put here our URL image inside. And then also the height, width and fit factor. So we put all inside. And now you see there is like a big difference. So it has the same size. However, the image is now covered here so that we see everything of it. Now we want to look at how we can load images from our phone, and also how we can later pick images from our gallery. Before we continue with it, if you are new here, subscribe to my channel and make sure to watch this video till the end. For loading images from our phone, we simply add here our URL image, and this time it's not a link, it's a folder and some file. And this is what you simply create. So you simply create in your project this assets folder. So make sure that you have the same name, And then you can place here inside your files inside. So in this case, I have here some images placed inside, and also you can put it into other directories if you like. And now the magic thing is that we can reference these images which we have put here inside and then make them displayable here within our app. Therefore, we continue here and call the image class like we did before. And like you remember, last time we called here network to load an image from the internet. However, this time we call here assets because we want to load it from our phone. And here inside you need to pass this image then. So I put here this URL image, which is pointing exactly to this file here in our folder. However, this doesn't work right now, so you have to do some more steps. So you have to go to your pubspec YAML file inside of your folder structure here. And then you need to scroll all the way down until you see here this Flutter tag. And we want to add this assets under this Flutter tag and make sure that it is aligned here with this statement at the top. So if you have here some spaces, it doesn't work. And here inside you need to put then this folder and this file. So in this case, for example, assets, this is our folder which we want to load and display in our application. If you choose here a folder, then all the images in this folder are loaded. So for example, this image 1 and image 2 are in this assets folder. However, not this home directory because this is a different folder. And if you don't want to load a complete folder, you can also put here some file inside. So simply put here, for example, this image 1 JPEG here inside, and then you only load this image. However, we will go here with this folder because this is more comfortable, and we also want to load this home directory, which is under it, also inside because here we also have some image. Therefore, we go again to the pubspec YAML file and put here the assets home folder also inside. After it, make sure that you restart your application for the first time. You put these images inside, and then you can simply hot reload it and you should see your image here inside. And here we have again the same attributes inside, so you can set a width and a height, and you also can set here a fit property so you can cover it. And like I have shown you last time, this width property will be here ignored because right now we have this fit inside. So if you want to also make it 300 in pixels, then make sure to wrap a center around, and then we have here exactly 300 pixels. However, for my case, I simply will go here without this and will also remove here this width property then. Let's also put here another image inside. So I simply point here to another file within our file structure. So this time I go here to the assets folder and take the image 2 JPEG. And then we again create here image asset and put our second image inside and also a width and height. And then we have here our second image displayed. Let's also create here again a rounded image, and this time it is a little bit different. So we have here the circle avatar again, and we put again the background image inside. And this time we call here asset image instead of image.asset. So simply make sure to put this asset in front of your image. And then you have here this name, which is going here inside for this image provider, which is here needed because here you cannot supply a widget inside. Then we put here again some image URL inside, and you can also set a radius. And then we have here our rounded image also as an asset image inside. Now the next thing what we want to do is to load our images from our phone, from our gallery, or also from the memory. And by the way, if you want to get here this whole source code of this application, you can get it with the first link in the description, and with the second link you can get my Flutter course where I teach you how you can become a more efficient Flutter developer. Before we actually start here with this memory file image to load, we go again to the network image because I want to show you that you also can show some progress behind our image until it is loaded from the internet. And therefore we go here again to our image.network, which is this image here. And here you can set something inside which is called the loading builder. And here you can basically define how this loading should look like. And then you can define here, for example, the center circular progress indicator so that he is spinning here a progress indicator every time if we hot restart our application. So this will look then like this. So he is loading all the time this data. And like you can see, he is loading all the time. So what we also need to do here is to basically put here the successful case inside of this loading builder, and therefore we simply wrap this here around first of all with a container and give it also a height and width of 400 by 400, because then it takes here already the size of the image, and then it doesn't look like if the image is loaded that he jumps in our application. And therefore we put here simply this height and width inside, and then it looks like this. So we already have the space of the image occupied, and I prefer it in this way. However, you can also omit it and simply only show the loading indicator in the background. Now we want to also implement the successful case that we show here actually the image, because he has already loaded this image, and therefore you can simply take here the progress, and if the progress is null, then we want to return here the child property, which is our successful image. And now if I hot restart this application, you should see here this loading indicator for a short time, and then our image will appear. And that's exactly what we are doing here with this loading builder. Therefore, I have created here a button, which is exactly this button here on the right side. And if we click on this button, then we want to actually call our gallery and get the image from our phone. And therefore, we basically use here this image picker plugin. So you need to go into your pubspec YAML file and make sure that you put here the image picker plugin under your dependencies inside. After it, you get here access to this image picker object, and you can then pick your file from the gallery. So you call picker.getImage, and here inside you can set the source, so you can decide if you want to have first of all the gallery, or you can also choose if you simply take this image directly from the camera. We will go here with the gallery. After it, we get here the picked file, which is the location in our file system on the phone. And we make sure that this is not null, because if it is null, then we return it here. And we can get here a null back by going, for example, to the gallery, and then the user doesn't pick an image and simply goes back, then it will return here null. And that's why we simply make sure that this case is not happen and that we simply return here this method. Otherwise, if the user has some image selected from the gallery, then we get here this picked file path from the local device and transfer it to a file object. And after it, we simply set here the state and put this file inside of our state. So here at the top, I have also this file image state. Now we want to display this image, which was picked from the gallery. Therefore, we go somewhere to our build method, and here in between in our list view, I will create the condition in case that the file image is not null. So if it exists, and if the user has picked this image, then we want to build this file image. After it, we want to create this build method here inside of our class. So I create this build file image, and then we again call this image class. And here, like you remember, we already called the network and the asset. And this time we want to call file, and then we can load a file which the user has stored. So asset was a file which we have stored here in our application, and file is an image or like some data which the user has stored on his phone. So we simply call here this time file, and then we put here our file image inside, which the user has picked with this button here from the gallery. Alright, let's try this case right now out. So we click here on this button, then we choose here one file from the gallery of this phone, and then he will simply load it here inside of our application. And below it you see also our buttons. So this image is pretty big, and here what you can do is to basically change again the size of this image. So we can set, for example, a height and a width, and we can also set again this box fit to cover, so that we cover here exactly this width and height. And again, he will ignore here the width of this image, so we also can remove it. Otherwise, if you want to have the width, then simply wrap here the center widget around. In this case, we also want to load this image here as a rounded, so I simply wrap it here into a column, and then I simply display the same image again. And this time we have here a circle avatar, and then we make here use of this background image. And here again, we need to set an image provider. So you cannot take here this image file because this is a widget, and we use here then the file image, like I have shown you in the last times, that you simply put this here at the front, and then you have this for the image provider. And here again, you set the file image inside. And now if I hot restart this application, you see that we also have here this image from our file system. and therefore we make use here of this file image. Lastly, I want to show you how you can also load an image from your memory, and therefore we go here again to this build button, which is exactly this button here. And last time we have here created the case for the isFile case. So in the case that we have here selected isFile, then we load here this as an file. Otherwise, we can also load it here as memory, and this is here the second case which we want to implement right now. This time we get here again the picked file from the gallery. However, we call again here this read as bytes, so that we get actually the bytes so that we can store it in our memory locally here inside of our app. And now we have here all the bytes loaded from this image, and we want to display it right now here inside of our application. So we simply put the bytes inside of this field memory image, which I have here at the top. And this is this list here of our bytes, and this is then here stored in our memory. So there is like a difference between memory and a file, because the file is not loaded right now inside of our application. It is only a path to the file object. However, this is loaded inside of our memory. So we create here again this build memory image method and put here our image inside. And last time we have used already file, network and asset. And this time we want to use here the memory constructor. And this time we need to set here all the bytes inside directly. So we put here this memory image inside, which is exactly this bytes which we have here stored in our state. After it, you can set again here the height like we did before, and you also can set this box fit cover. And now we can try this already out. So I have here load as memory activated, and then I click here on pick image, and then we select here this image, and he will simply load it again. However, this time he will go this way here and will load this file as the bytes and put it here inside of our memory image, and then he simply display it here with this image.memory. Let's also create the second case that we make this image rounded. Therefore, I put it here again inside of a column and create then this circle avatar. And this time we put here into the background image the memory image inside. So we cannot use here the widget image.memory, because here we need again this provider for this case. So we need to set the image provider, and therefore we use here this memory image, and then you put here your object inside. And now if I hot reload, you also see that we have here the other image inside of this circle avatar, and both of them are loaded here from the memory. Hello everyone, thank you so much for watching this video. Please make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel here to get the latest news about Flutter, and see you soon. Bye!